Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Alan Fiegel, the head football coach at Livonia Churchill. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
We are in game week already, getting ready for week number one. Um, First off, how are two a days? How were the last 2 weeks? And overall, how was the summer for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we had a really good summer. Good participation, good leadership, good energy. 2 days, very much the same. Um, no complaints. Everything went according to plan, and the kids did exactly what we asked them to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So really what's heading into the season, really what's the outlook for Churchill heading into 2025?
I don't know. I don't know. That's for other people. I think for us, um, it's a new year, it's a new team, new senior class, right? And um, I think for us, it's kind of reestablishing ourselves a little bit. And
Right.
I think that started a little bit in the off season. We changed some things. I mean, after every season, you're going to reevaluate and sit down and think about how you could have done things differently or better, or how can you provide something better for the kids. And we did a lot of um, self evaluation. That was a lot of November and December for us as a staff. Um, and out of those kind of evaluation periods, we kind of came up with, our plan um, was to kind of recalibrate, as I've been saying. And we've recalibrated some things all the way from how we're holding kids accountable to how we're holding ourselves accountable too. So there's a little bit of a recalibration, and you know, it's it's never ending and trying to find an answer. But for us, over the last three seasons to go, 2-7, 4-5, 3-6, it's just not acceptable for us. And I think what we've settled on is if if we're going to have less than desirable records and results, then we're going to do it with the kids we thoroughly enjoy being around, and we're going to do it as a hardworking, cohesive unit with good team chemistry. And at the end of the day, if that isn't good enough record wise, then so be it. I know those kind of things lead to better results, so I'm trying to accomplish both things at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I know there's a lot. You talk about new things and changing, and this season is kind of a swan song for well, actually all of Livonia because of course the change. Of course, this is your final year in the KLAA conference. Of course, moving to the Lakes Valley Conference beginning in the 2026-27 school year. Um, as a coach, I did ask a Lakes Valley coach the same question, but I'll ask you this: your thoughts on a new move to the conference, and of course, a lot of the teams in that conference are Division two like you guys.
Amazing, isn't it? I think our time in the KLA has been um, from a professional standpoint as good as it can get. We're talking from an administrative standpoint, scheduling. The KLA is still, in my opinion, even after we leave, still one of the more powerful conferences in the entire state of Michigan. You know, I think moving forward, and here's what I'll say about it, and I'll be as professional as I can. Um, for many, many, many years, and I only speak for us, um, and I don't expect anyone to feel sorry for us because everyone faces challenges, and I understand that. But for us at Churchill, we have not been swimming in the same water in this conference. We've been a little tiny shark with these giant sharks, and it's to a point where I'm glad our district um, listened to us and at least chose to, in my opinion, do what's right for the kids. And I can't speak for other sports. I do coach track and field, but just specifically for football, um, there's an element there's an element of safety to this, and it's reached a point to where and most people don't know this, our enrollment may be, say, 1,200. Let's just say 1,200. In actuality, it's more like 1,050 because we have a performing arts school here that Stevenson and Franklin do not have. So we host the performing arts, and that's a couple hundred kids, and they don't play football. I'll just leave it at that. Okay, they don't play football. So, our enrollment is top number. You always got a minus 200.
Yeah.
And so when we're playing schools of twice our size, especially in a sport like football, again, as adults in the room, I'm just glad finally someone listened to what we were saying, that the Livonia schools 10 years ago, even 6 years ago, could go toe to toe with any school in the state of Michigan. But our enrollment has dipped a little bit, and now we've kind of reached, I think, our levels right now, and us and Franklin being kind of always around 1,100, 1,200.
Right.
We don't need to be playing schools of 2,000, 2,200 open school districts. We're closed school district, man. So we coach who shows up. So our footprints are very small. So moving into the LVC, I think now we're all going to be swimming in similar waters. We have similar challenges of filling teams. We have similar enrollment. I think the biggest school will be Stevenson at like roughly 1,500 kids. So the discrepancy, the disparity, I should say, in enrollment is like 300, where the disparity where we were at, us being the smallest, was almost 1,000 kids. So, and again, in sport like football, I can't stress enough of, our roster this year, we're going to have 30 kids, and we're going to go into teams with 60 and 70 kids. It's just, I'm glad that, we're going to finish it the right way in a conference that's been very good and very professional and very super competitive. But it's bittersweet. I'm also happy that we're going to be in a better place where it can be a little bit just the equal playing field. I guess I'll just say it that way.
Yeah. And of course it goes to the bigger conversation of all these schools moving and going and really just moving around and getting the necessary things that they need because they want to compete with the same level of teams. Of course, you're seeing that with the Lakes Valley Conference, and of course with all the proposed changes that could be happening to the KLAA and all the others, and in and a lot of other leagues around the
Sure.
state of Michigan. So let's talk about this year. Player wise, who are some of the names to watch out for you guys?
Well, we have a decent amount of kids returning. I think you're always going to start with quarterback, right? Doesn't take a football savant or a genius to know that. And we're returning Ali Talib, and it always gives you confidence when you're returning a kid, a quarterback. We're also returning 4/5 of our offensive line. So 4 of those kids, and 3 of those 4 kids have been 3-year starters, and so we're excited about the trenches. I think for the first time in maybe 3 or 4 years, I think that's a strength. And pretty much every team we play, I think that'll be a plus for us. On the perimeter, we're a little young. Defensive backfield, we're a little young, but those kids have done a really good job, and we've got, again, like I said, up front, O-line wise, Max Schwessing, Logan Fleck, Peyton Gout, Isaac Groff. They're studs, and they're going to be anchors in there. They're going to be two-way kids, and in the backfield we have Braylon Hall, one of more of our explosive players. Braylon's a two-way kid, really plays everything. And then we have a newcomer who sat out last year due to the transfer rules, but Jackson Lauder. Jackson comes to us from CC, and he's a running back, linebacker type of kid, and he's been a good addition. And he's still learning, and missing a year of football has been a challenge for him, but he'll be fine. And we have Aiden Cunningham's a returning linebacker, and Delvon Weidman, a returner, and we have some newcomers that we have pretty good faith in. So it's really pretty spread out. Sage Adams was a starting 9th grader for us last year, which was the first in my 16 years. So He's recovering from a little bit of a basketball injury, so he won't start the season with us. But as soon as we get him back and going in shape, and that's probably like a week 2, week 3, week 4 type of thing. We'll see, but we're excited about him. He's a good player and a leader in our program. So yeah, we've got some pieces, man. We just got to put it all together.
Absolutely. All right. Last thing I'll talk about is the upcoming schedule. Of course, this week just in a couple of days of August 28th at Canton. Then, of course, week 2 at Dearborn. Week 3, September 12th, home against Wayne Memorial. September 19th, home against Belleville. September 26th at Livonia Stevenson. October 3rd at Westland John Glenn. October 10th at Dearborn Fordson. Finishing October 7th. Excuse me, October 17th, home against Livonia Franklin. And then October 24th, we'll be finishing out the regular season home against the crossover with the KLAA West. And of course, the East teams will be hosting this year. So, yeah, of course, starting off with a KLAA West opponent with Canton. And then just really heading into the your final go around in the East schedule. A lot of change within the East Division this year, especially with several teams hiring new coaches.
Yeah, I mean that's always a thing you try to keep an eye on a little bit. But I can only control what we do. I think I know it's cliche, but it's true. We have Canton, and they're again historically a very, very, very competitive football team who's very much like us has been down the last few years. They remind me of us a little bit, where there looks like they're trying to establish identity, recalibrate, get it going back again. And it's always tough to see off scrimmage film. So I personally don't hold um, a lot of faith in scrimmage film and scouting stuff like that. And last year's film and that kind of stuff. I just know that, um, they're going to play hard, and it's probably a game they feel like they need to win, and it's a game that we feel we have to win to get off to a good start. So I do think it'll be a good football game.
Absolutely. And then really just, preparing for this week. I'll end it on this. How do you prepare for week 1? You just mentioned it. There's really, you can take some things away from scrimmage film, but obviously most teams really kind of don't show what they really, really have. So how do you prepare for a team that you really just don't know a lot about and kind of everyone's in the same boat as you though?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's. I think you start with yourself. And I know that's probably, I don't know, that's not a sexy answer, but
No.
because the notion of unknowns, you better be really good at your rules. You better, we openly acknowledge some of the week 1 challenges that are challenges for anyone who plays football on any level that,
Yeah.
you know, it's week 1. There's going to be what I refer to as week 1 things. So we address those things and how do we deal with that? How do we move on from it? But I'm a big fan of ball gets kicked, go. It's go. We don't wait for anyone. We got to go. Um, and it's just week 1. To answer your question, it's a lot about yourself, just because you don't necessarily know. So you got to be good with your base rules on O and D and special teams, um, and you hope that's good enough.
Yeah. All right. Well, Alan, thank you so much for the time as always, and best of luck this season to you guys.
Thanks, Casey. Appreciate your work.